Hello and welcome to We Are Crafted in His Image. Today we are starting a new Coco and Crafts class. We are using the Fond of Autumn stamp set. So I'm going to show you what comes in the kit. Of course you get the stamp set. Most of you, in fact I think everybody who ordered the kit also ordered the additional dies, which will come in very handy for this class. Of course you have some chocolate and the 4 packs of our projects, and then you also have a full sheet of 8.5 by 11 white. We're going to use this to do a lot of stamping. Oh, hold on, let me put my camera back on manual focus so it won't keep adjusting. There we go. So we are going to start out with project number 1. Let me get these out of the way. These are actually one of my customers' kit. Let me pull my stamp set in. And this is the card that we're going to work on today. Isn't it pretty? Perfect for the fall weather, which is exactly what I have going on outside. Actually, it's almost feeling like winter out there at the moment. Where's my kit? There it is. Here is my project pack, and you'll have a couple of bases. Now, I'm only going to assemble one. I will assemble another one off camera, but I'm going to assemble one for today. And then you do have a couple of strips of foam adhesive in there. I'm hoping that's enough. There is a little piece of this gorgeous, wonderfully soft petal pink ribbon. What is it called? Soft polyester. I love it. It feels so good. We're going to put that aside. There are nothing in your envelopes because we're going to stamp and cut everything out. You do have a piece, actually 2 pieces that are already die cut with one of the dies. You've got a couple of rectangle panels, your envelopes, and then a strip. Now I have a few things in one of my envelopes because I've already colored, but I'm going to show you how I did the coloring. So let's get started with our stamping. I have mine already mounted. Now this month's kit did not come with any inks because most of my ladies, you already have inks, and really the only ink you really absolutely need is a black, preferably a waterproof black. I'm going to be using Memento, and then whatever you already have on hand for coloring. Now I will show you what I use to color these, and I will have it listed also in the blog, all of the different colors that I use and what I used on each different item so that you'll know exactly how I colored this. But yeah, let's get started. We will need to stamp on the inside panel and on that full sheet of cardstock. Here it is. And I think, oh, and then on our strip. On our strip here. Now remember, you want to stamp 2 of everything. I'm only going to do 1, but you're going to stamp on both of your panels. You're going to stamp 2 on this, and you're going to stamp 2 on your full sheet. So this is the first stamp we're going to use, which is the big one in this kit, and it does just barely fit on an E-size block. It fits on there. You're going to need the acorn, and you're going to need the saying that says just a note. So I'm going to go ahead and start inking mine up. And you do want to do this first because you want to give your ink a few minutes to dry before you start coloring. Now, if you're going to color with watercolor pencils, you don't have to wait for it to dry. If you're going to just color in with regular markers, you probably don't need to wait for it to dry. I am going to be using blends, so I do want to give it some time to dry. Oh, another tip, when you're using our photopolymer, especially a really big one like this, is to use our Stampin' Pierce mat underneath. Mine has disappeared, so I am currently just using the back side of a mouse pad, but you want something with a little bit of cushion to it, and that will help to get a better image when you stamp. I have no clue where my Stampin' Pierce mat disappeared to. At the current moment, everything off camera is a total disaster because I have been doing a lot of crafting for some craft shows. And yeah, it's a mess in my crafty space right now. It is a mess. So there we go. Nice, good image. Yay! And again, you're going to want to ink this up and stamp again so that you have 2 of them on there. I'm going to go ahead and clean this a little bit. And then while that dries, I'm going to go ahead and stamp on my panel the little acorn. I'm just going to stamp that in the bottom corner. There we go. And then I'm going to do another acorn on the envelope. And I'm torn between putting one, I think I'm on this one, I'm going to put one right on the envelope flap. I think that would be super cute. On this one here, I put it in the front, in the bottom corner. Oh, and I forgot to color the stem. I'll have to do that in a minute. But yeah, I kind of think I like it there. I don't know. Anyway, so that is all of, nope, that's not all the stamping. We got to put our Just a Note on our little strip. Easy peasy. Of course, these little strips are just cut-offs from when I cut these panels out for you. That's what's left on the paper. Don't throw them away. They can always get used. And sorry, my head will probably get in here. I want to make sure this gets straight. Just a Note. And because I'm not sure... Oh, I did that perfectly. Ha ha ha. So, just a little bit off the end. You want to give yourself a little bit of room to cut a little banner on there, and then I'm going to trim this probably about here so it'll tuck underneath. So yeah, let me clean these off a little. Get them out of the way. Get the ink out of the way. And I'm going to go and cut this. Again, I'm just giving my ink a little bit of time to dry before I go ahead and color on it. So that's about what you need. What does that look like? 3 inches on the dot. Wow. Okay, I couldn't have done that if I had tried. So I'm going to cut a little banner by cutting up in the middle and then cutting from one side to the other. There we go. So I've got my little banner cut. So that piece is ready. And now I will go ahead and do some coloring. Now, I'm going to pull in a piece of scrap just because the blends do go through the paper a little bit. And I like my pretty background paper. I want to leave it pretty for a little bit longer. Here are, I'll just pull them a little bit to the screen here. These are all of the colors that I used on this particular card. And I'm going to start with the large leaves here. And as I do it, I'm just going to give you, I'm not going to color the whole thing in. I'm going to give you basics on how I colored each different one, and some tips. So for the large leaves, I used 200, that's a 500. I went 200 and 400. And I know that those are the browns. Where are they? Are they all the way down here? Oh, 400 and 200, they are. And then I also used the ivory. Nope, that's petal pink. This one must be ivory. Yes, ivory. So those are the ones I used on these 3 large leaves. And because there is such a large difference between this light shade and this medium shade, what I like to do for those is color the whole leaf with the lighter shade first. Let me see if I should zoom in for you. Whoops, go the other way. Okay, is that still focused? Autofocus. No, come on, get back into focus. There you go. No, I gotta keep my hand there for it to focus on my hand. Okay, turn off. Turn off, turn off. There we go. Okay, so what I like to do with that is I'm gonna go ahead and color the whole leaf in with the ivory. And I generally like using the larger brush tip on my markers. However, these marker tips are very delicate is a good word for it. They do tend to get frayed out very easily if you use very much pressure. So you want to use a very light hand with them. So I color in the whole thing, and what that does is it moistens the paper and allows the other 2 colors to blend a little bit easier. Then I'm going to go straight to my darkest color, and I am going to just kind of go up the veins a little bit. I'm not putting a lot of this dark color on. If this leaf were tucked underneath like this one, I would add more color right here where it's tucked underneath the acorns. Then I'm going to come in with this medium shade and basically blend into that darker one. And I think this one is the 400 and this one is the 200. And just kind of blend that so that that dark brown, the darkest brown, blends into the medium brown. And then I'm going to come back over top with this light, the ivory, and blend the edges of that medium color. Get it to blend out. And it'll blend more as it sits. And there you go. That is the larger leaf That's how I colored those. So those three, and another tip is, you notice when I did these, I did not fully snap them in each time I finished because I don't want to keep opening and closing. It just takes too much time to do that. So I just leave them slightly on. You don't want to leave them open all the way or they will dry out. These are alcohol based and they will dry out. But for time's sake, I don't put the lids all the way on. So the next thing I'm going to do are these little leaves here, and those I did with both the light and dark of the Old Olive. And again, I tend to use the lighter or the brush tip, and because I'm going to be doing these quickly, I'm just going to have them both out without the lids on. I'm going to start with the darker. These aren't as large, there isn't as large of a difference in color between these two. I don't necessarily have to do the light and then the dark and then go back over with the light. I can go straight from using the dark color like this, and I can do 3 or 4 leaves, or even this whole little section here of leaves with the dark before I come in with the light. But you don't want to do too many because, again, you want this to still be wet before you add, when you add this lighter color on, so that the two will blend together. You just kind of keep getting that color on there, adding a little more concentration of color where the two come together so that it will blend out. There we go. So that's how I would do the greens, which I did all of these little leaves and even these two right here. And now I'll put my caps back on. For the berries, I used the light and dark of the Petal Pink. And again, I picked the Petal Pink because the ribbon that we were using is the Petal Pink, so they coordinate together. So I'm going to grab this and this. And I just realized that in a couple of minutes my alarm is going to go off to feed my dogs. I'm hoping I can get this done before that, but I don't think it's going to happen. I may have to dismiss that. And then I'm going to come in, that was the dark, and all I did was add like a little shadow on the sides of the berries. And now I'm going to come in with the lighter color and blend that in. And there's not a huge difference in the colors of these two, but you can tell that there's a shadow there. And there's the berries. So those are that. Pull these out of the way. And then for the acorns, where's my paper? There it is. Acorns were, the cap was light and dark soft suede, so I'll do that first. Yes. And this one here is kind of funky because the acorn cap has all those little textures. So what I did for that was basically like this side here will be darker because it's under that leaf. So I'll do the whole side. But then I'll just kind of make a dot of color at the base of each of those little divots, I guess. I don't know what you call them. The little bumps in the cap. So I'm just creating a shadow at the bottom of each one like that. There we go. And then I'm going to come in with my lighter shade and just scribble over the whole thing. And that will help blend in those shadows into, there we go. And then for the base of the acorn, I used 500 and then I used the ivory again. So 500, you can tell this is where the shadow is supposed to be. And then at the base of those, shadow on this side and on the base. And then fill in with your lighter shade. Blending those colors together. So there's that. I am going to go ahead, since I have these out, and I'm going to go ahead and color. See what I meant by it goes through on the back side? I'm going to go ahead and color my, where's the panel that I stamped? There they are. My 2 acorns for my inside panel and for my envelope. So let me get those colored. I'm going to come in with this. And I try to do this quickly. I like to color, but sometimes I don't because my hands start to go numb after a while holding on to things. So, and I'm just really putting a dot of color at the base of each of those little bumps. Fill that in. And this time, remember to do the stem also. Fill this one in. And my stem. You can even put a shadow on the side of the stem if you want. Okay, and when you are done though, make sure you put your caps on all the way. Shadow with the 500. And fill in with ivory. And you can even, I think acorn bottoms often have a greenish tint to them. So if you could add a little bit of green in here, that would also look quite nice too. There we go. Acorns are done. All of our coloring, well, technically it's done because in this envelope, I have some already done. Now, when you go to cut this out, the dies come with, there are two ways to cut that out. You can use this die here, which will cut the entire image out as one piece. But then there is also this die, which is the one you're going to use today. And what it does is it cuts it out into 4 sections. So you're going to want to then run this through your Big Shot, cut that out, hold on to your flowers because we're going to use those on our last project actually. So I have my pieces here already colored. These 3 pieces I colored, and then this one here I'm going to put in the envelope for number 4 because we're going to use it on that project. We're not going to waste anything. Nothing goes to waste. Stick that over there, and let's start assembling our card. This is a very simple card, really, once you've die cut everything. So we need to make sure, oh, I need to back this out so you can see what I'm doing now. Make sure we're still focused. Yes, there we go. So I'm going to go ahead and fold my card base. Let's get some adhesive and adhere. Make sure it's not plus. That one is plus. I want regular. Ooh, I think it's time to dismantle and do some clean out on my dispenser here. Okay, go ahead and get this on one side, even borders, glue it down. Okay, and then on this piece here, I have cut out for you, I already used the very intricate die, but you may find that you've got some little doodads that still need to be popped out of there. Let me grab my pokey tool and do a little bit of poking here. And you do want to get those out before you adhere it. It'll be harder to do later on. Come on, come on, get out of there. One, two, three, 4. Okay, there we go. I think I got most of them. Yes. And like I said, I gave you some Stampin' Dimensionals. Oh, there it goes. Time to go feed the puppers. I'll have to do that. They're gonna have to wait a minute. They're gonna have to be patient. Anyway, we're gonna peel the backing off of this. And we are not making this into a shaker card, so you don't have to have it go all the way across. It doesn't have to like completely fill in. But you do want it to have it on all 4 sides. So I'm gonna stick that on there. I'm going to stick this one here. I'm going to put this here, and then I need to get another one out. I've got a half a piece here. Actually, let me grab this big one. Whoops! The half piece stuck on there. I hope I gave you guys enough to do these. I might not have. I was limited with what I had, and I had to order more, and it didn't come in time. There we go. Alright, and then what you may want to do is cut off a few little pieces to go, actually it doesn't even have to be a little piece. On this side, it's going to be underneath here, so we can add some underneath that section. So in that case, yeah, we're definitely not going to have enough with just 2 strips, not for both cards. So in that case, you may have to do a bunch of dimensionals. Okay, and then also underneath where the Just a Note is going to go, we can put a piece there. And that's just going to help keep it from getting smushed in when this goes through the mail. There we go. So peel your backing off. So I apologize. I think I only gave you enough of the dimension or the Stampin' Strips or whatever dimensional strips, whatever they're called, to do one card. Okay, now this is going to be centered, and it has a pretty good size border on it all the way around. There we go. There we go. Stick that down. And now it's just time to start adhering all of our fun stuff. So I have a strip of this ribbon for you. I'm going to go ahead and cut it in half so you have one for each card. Then I'm going to cut a pretty little angle on one end. You want a good sharp pair of scissors for that. And then this is going to get adhered here. And you can just use our regular Stampin' Seal for this, or you could use Tear and Tape, whichever one you want. Ooh, that is sticky. And I'm going to put it, let's see, right about here, right below that leaf right there. And then our Just a Note goes on. And that's just slightly above the ribbon. Actually, I think I'm gonna, oops. Pull it in a little. There we go. And then what happened to all my cutouts? Here they are. I moved them off to the side. If you want, you could use liquid glue or the Stampin' Seal. I prefer liquid glue when I'm doing these little tiny little things. It's just easier to apply it to it. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on both of these. And then glue on the back of this one. And I didn't put any of these on dimensionals because we've already got dimensionals behind this, and that already lifts it up quite a ways. Now I am actually going to put this one down first. And I'm not going to spush it down, but then I can go ahead and add my other ones underneath, and that just kind of helps me know where I want to add it. Let's see, I think it was kind of like this. And then this one here is off in this corner, maybe even going over the Just a Note part. There we go. And then you just want to hold it down. What I like to do when I need to hold it down is actually set a block on it for a few minutes and let it dry like that. But there you have it. That is our first project using this month's kit of the Fond of Autumn stamp set. What do you think? I like it. I like it. I think it's a lot of fun. So until next week, God's love and blessings to you. Bye.